They were the quartet who created an almost unbreachable monopoly at the top of men's tennis for almost a decade. Between them, the career Grand Slam wins of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray span 18 years. Their achievements loom so large that they are known simply as the Big Four. Pundits and fans have long speculated what might come after this golden era, which players we watch pick up the major trophies and what rivalries develop. The remarkable staying power of the Big Four has already quashed the major title pursuits of multiple worthy challengers. But age catches up with everyone in the end, and another quartet have started to make their mark on the big events recently. They are 2021 US Open champion Daniil Medvedev, 2020 Olympic gold medalist Alexander Zverev, 2019 ATP Tour Finals winner Stefanos Tsitsipas, and 2021 Wimbledon finalist Matteo Berrettini. They may not yet have the loaded Grand Slam CVs of their idols, but they represent the most clear and present danger to tennis's established order. At the start of 2022, Medvedev, Zverev, Tsitsipas and Beretini were all in the top 6 of the ATP rankings, underlining their recent consistency. But going beyond basic rankings reveals a more intriguing story. ATP rankings are a blunt instrument that tracks tournament progression, but leaves out many of the match-by-match nuances that reflect a player's true skill. The point system used by ATP rankings not only treats wins at the same stage of an event equally, regardless of the actual differences in each player's draw, they entirely exclude some of a player's worst event results from their tally. ELO ratings are a more objective and comprehensive alternative. Unlike ATP rankings, ELO ratings are a statistically based measure of player skill that considers every match played and weighs each win and loss by the strength of opponent faced. Much like a stock ticker, a player's ELO score goes up or down after each match. The jumps from match to match depend on how surprising the result was, given the rating of the player and their opponent going into the match. So a big upset is rewarded with more points than a win that the algorithm says was expected. Avoiding upsets while racking up wins against more highly rated players is the clearest path for ascending the ELO echelon, because ELO ratings are always relative to the strength of the field at any point in time. It is possible to compare player ELO ratings across eras and time periods. Similar ratings show similar performances against the field. It is harder the further back you go because strength and depth of the competition changes, but we can use the system to make assumptions about future performance by comparing players' ratings at certain ages. And when we do just that with the Big Four and their potential successors, by taking a deep dive into the ELO ratings, some fascinating similarities emerge. Let's start with Daniil Medvedev. When we track the way his ratings have trended from age 18 to the present, we find his path has, so far, been closest to Roger Federer's. Medvedev was a much slower starter than the Swiss maestro. Federer's first ATP Tour final came at aged 18 and a half, and as a teenager, he was starting to make progress in the early rounds of Grand Slams and Masters events. Medvedev had to wait until he was almost 21 to make a tour-level final and almost 22 to win one. But as the ELO chart shows, he had already begun to show his potential. That steep ascent after his 20th birthday represents 2016, the year the Russian broke out of the Futures and Challenger circuits and onto the main tour. He scored 8 wins over players ranked inside the top 100 of the ATP rankings, which not only took him into that bracket himself, but also boosted his ELO score and marked him out as a future champion. Before their 24th birthdays, both were at the 2,600 point level on the ELO ratings. Federer had 5 Grand Slams at that point, while Medvedev had reached only 1 major final. But his 7 ATP Tour titles and the relative strength of the circuit meant the Russian was given greater credit. The theory suggests that had Medvedev had Federer's career and same opposition, he too would have had several slams by now. And as he turns 26, Medvedev is tracking ahead of Federer at the same age. Now he seems to have brushed off his clay phobia. Might he start to realise that potential with more slams? Andy Murray and Stefanos Tsitsipas have striking similarities in their early career paths too. In particular, we can see that both had a sharp spike to get to a rating of 2,200 while still only 19. Murray had just reached his 3rd tour-level final, while Tsitsipas reached that rating after beating top 10 player David Goffin in the semis of a 250 event in Antwerp, his tour breakthrough event. Again, that shows the statistical difference in strength between the circuit in 2006 and 2017. The pair's growth continued to rise, but at a much steadier pace. Tsitsipas' progress between 20 and 21, when he started to reach Masters semis and finals, plus the Aussie Open semi-final, put him ahead of Murray. But the Brit moves back ahead after 21, which is the age he began to reach semis and finals of Grand Slams. Tsitsipas remains at the same level as the Brit as he nears 24, courtesy of a very consistent level of performance in 2021, up until the point a couple of defeats to lower-ranked players and an elbow injury at the end of the season saw him dip in ratings slightly. The first of Murray's 3 Grand Slam wins came at the age of 25, and he reached world number 1 for the first time aged 29. Tsitsipas is surely on course to start collecting major honours in the next few years. If we only looked at Alexander Zverev's ratings up to age 21, we would have thought his career path was the spitting image of a young Novak Djokovic. Zverev actually enjoyed higher ELO ratings in their latter teenage years, having reached 4 tour-level finals. Djokovic won more silverware, but again Zverev's performances were weighted for statistically tougher opposition. Recent times, though, have seen them diverge. A mini slump for Zverev in the face of Djokovic's inexorable rise to becoming one of the modern game's all-time greats. Matteo Berrettini is the odd one out among the NextGen 4. The Italian was playing at an average level until the age of 21. Since then, he's caught fire and made a miraculous surge on par with Nadal's ascent to the top of the ratings as a teenager. Nadal and Beretini are the two most different trajectories among the players we're comparing. Beretini for his very late rise, and Nadal for his early career high and periodic jumps during the clay season. Many have been doubtful that any era of men's tennis could surpass the golden era the Big Four created. But it's astonishing how many similarities we find between the ratings trajectories of the NextGen 4 and the Big Four they all look up to. It's a similarity that makes the outlook for the top of men's tennis look reassuringly bright. There's no guarantee these players' trajectories will continue to follow each other in lockstep, but the close alignment in their career trajectories so far foretell future years filled with title battles and major glories. There may never be a vanguard like the Big Four. After all, the higher ratings for fewer trophies suggest the current field is stronger than when the legends were in their early 20s. If the field of men's tennis is stronger now, equivalent ELO ratings won't guarantee the same number of Grand Slam trophies. But it does suggest that some of the rising men's stars are playing to an equivalent level of the Big Four at the same age. And that is an exciting discovery for the future of men's tennis.